Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing the best looting build for beginners. This build is, I say, better for beginners only because the rogue builds normally require the Metrom's amulet to work efficiently. So I'm going with the Berserker build due to the fact that it can kill everything and be pretty much just as efficient as Metrom's amulet. The only downside is that going rogue, you get a thief ability to gain a little bit more money from killing, and you also gain a rogue passive to get better loot. Now, I don't know how crazy of a difference that passive makes between each of the a class having none and a class having that passive, but I have made both a rogue and a berserker build, and they seem fairly similar. It doesn't seem like I'm really missing out on that much being a berserker. So this is a really good build, and even I had to make it, of course, because I don't have Metrom's amulet, so I can't even do a rogue build. Of course, if I had Metrom's amulet, I would go for the rogue build, but since I do not, this is the second best build you can make for looting. One thing to keep in mind is that the sword I'm using is not required for the build, because of course I am making this like a beginner's looting build, right? You're not going to be able to even achieve the sword soon, and it is relatively hard to get. But this sword, not needed, you can just have the normal sword. But for the main part of this build is the ability, Carnage, right here. You need 2 energy to use it, and it just kills everything on the field. The only downside to this is you can't usually get it off immediately. You have to at least wait one turn to use it. So the best thing you can do is make an energy build. So how I did this was I went a race that gives at least a chance of getting an extra energy, as well as, of course, getting the armor for Berserker, because that also gives you a chance of getting energy. Another thing for energy is the uh, accessory. I currently have the earring of energy. Another one that you would much prefer having is the earring of empowering, which gives more energy than the basic energy version. Now, other things you could do would be to put voltaic on the shard of voltaic on your weapon, but that's not really necessary because you want energy immediately starting off rip. You don't want to have to hit something to get energy. You just want to spawn in with a ton of energy so that you can use Carnage right off the bat. So for everything else related to this build is just the basic normal stuff that you would do with Rogue, which is of course getting a ton of luck, getting fortune, probably getting chance, I'd say, or another luck ring. I'd say chance is more important because the damage isn't too great, so you won't be one-shotting everything. Of course, I have really bad rings, and I'm not like mid-maxed. I don't even have my skill tree leveled up, not even a little bit. For my soul point skill tree, it is hardly touched in the strength part of the skill tree. So, and I'll show you right now how good it is without being, without it being fully finished. So I'll just say, starting off, for the most part, the only thing that I don't one shot with Carnage is the zombie shroom. The zombie shroom's the only thing I don't one shot with Carnage because I believe it has reduced damage taken from physical. So that is something. Of course, see that? I started off with 2. Can use Carnage right off rip. This doesn't always happen, so that's why you need to get a really good earring on top of everything else so that like you always start off with good energy. But as you saw there, I did only start with 1, and that's why it is necessary to get a better earring or ring or necklace of energy. As you can see, I'm getting a crap ton of loot. bottom left. A lot of loot. This is not, it's not a bad build whatsoever. And I'd recommend Doulahan, of course, because it gets better luck as every 5 levels it has 4 skill points that it can put in instead of 3. But it only works if you're in legendary mode, which of course you're going to be in legendary mode because that's how you get the best loot. Now, if you want to be farming desert on this build, it is relatively hard to fight in desert. Well, for me right now anyways, I haven't, finished upgrading the skill tree, the starting off skill tree at the Berserk trainer. But right now it's somewhat hard to farm desert. If you want to make it easier, you could just go for the race Veneri, I believe it's called, where you can put a trap down and everything that attacks you just blows up and takes a massive amount of damage, and it scales off of luck. Of course, if you're going that path, you will not be getting as much energy as someone who has a race that gives energy right off rip. So do keep that in mind. The other things that you're going to want to be getting, which of course not necessary because this is beginner's guide, but if you can try to get the enchant, the Midas enchant for your weapon, and of course get the guild for Blades of the World, because that's where you're going to be getting more money, because it also has Gilded Strike. Now, one thing that I recommend you don't do for your looting build is get a subclass, because there is no subclass right now that helps you with money making, other than, I guess you could say, the potion alchemy one where you can sell potions, but unless you're going to be farming for potions, which you're probably not going to be, I'd recommend just don't get any subclass until they either add an ability to a subclass that helps you with farming, getting better loot, or if they add a new subclass in the future that you can just take advantage of. But for now, for my build, I'm just gonna stick without a subclass. So I don't remember if I mentioned this, but Carnage versus Rogue's triple dagger throw. The difference is massive. Triple dagger throw can be dodged. It can be like blocked. I'm pretty sure it can be blocked, but it can be dodged, and you can leave like half the enemies on the field, and they're not going to be dead. So it's not really that good to have without a Metrom's amulet. And with this build, Carnage, none of the enemies can dodge or block or anything. They just take it and they die. So that's why without a Metrom's amulet, I recommend going Berserker. So anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully this build helps you, and I'll see you in the next one.